Let me now bring in Behnam Ben Taleblu, Senior Director of the Iran Program at the Foundation for the Defense of Democracies, where he is also a senior fellow. Behnam, welcome back to the show. You and I were just talking about this recently. President Trump has insisted that these strikes obliterated Iran's nuclear program. But let me play a bit of sound for you, because the head of the International Atomic Energy Agency says there was severe damage, but not total.
The capacities they have are there. They can have, in a matter of months, I would say, a few cascades of centrifuges spinning and producing enriched uranium, or less than that.
Where do you think Iran's nuclear capabilities likely stand right now?
Well, it's a pleasure to be with you. The key word in the Director General of the IAEA's comment there was capacity. The regime has talked about this stuff being both material, the fissile material, that some of which still exists is stored away, as well as the capacity to build more material used for centrifuges like bellows and rotors from things like carbon fiber and barraging steel, as well as, of course, the institutional knowledge that exists in the heads and the hands of scientists that still have not been killed by a foreign intelligence service yet. So in that sense, that is the Islamic Republic's leverage here. But the U.S. leverage here is greater. Its willingness after 20 years to pull the trigger, even against deeply buried nuclear sites, using a bomb that it had never even dropped before in any other conventional conflict. So both sides have leverage. But the reason the U.S. strike was successful is that it collapsed the facilities housing these things. And so if the Islamic Republic is going to reconstitute, it's going to be reconstituting and using a secret, undeclared covert program or a covert facility that even if there was a deal, the West would not have known about anyway. So that doesn't solve the larger problem of these folks still have the capacity, and what you have to do is dampen the will to use that capacity.
And, Robert and I have been talking all morning. There are so many different conflicting reports out there just in the week plus that this has happened. And I think for average Americans and outsiders, it's kind of like, who do we listen to, right? As an expert yourself, which agency or international body has your confidence right now?
Well, I actually listen to everything that everyone says, whether it's the DIA, the CIA, the Israelis, the Americans, the U.S. president, the Israeli prime minister, even the Iranians. The truth is largely a mosaic of these things. I think between the least confident assessment, which is the DIA report that talks about potentially 3 months or just a handful of months, and then the Israeli report that talks about 2 years, I think the truth is likely somewhere in the middle. This story is not over. If you have to ask me, this is the end of the beginning chapter. And we're going to see largely now if the Islamic Republic takes more risks to continue this program, and if future U.S. presidents or future Israeli prime ministers are going to be also equally as resolute and committed to preventing the world's foremost state sponsor of terrorism from getting a nuclear weapon. So this is unfortunately a very iterative dynamic, and what we have to do here is make sure that the facts as they are do not get balkanized. Unfortunately, with respect to a next-door neighbor, Iraq, the facts from 1998 to 2003 from every which way got balkanized, and it's America and our friends and our partners that lose when that happens.
What about Iran's foreign minister doubling down, saying that his country will never stop its nuclear enrichment? I mean, how should the United States and Israel respond to statements like that?
Well, it's clear that even, about a decade or so before, it was a position of the international community, codified in 5 UN Security Council resolutions that were looking to prohibit and to prevent ongoing, uranium enrichment on Iranian soil. That was unfortunately something that changed with the Iran nuclear deal, and that was in 2015. And that's something that the Trump administration has been trying to, with respect, put that genie back in the bottle. Now, it's been difficult, but I think certainly the U.S. should be looking to raise the stakes, raise the cost for the Iranians of continuing to do so. And with respect, following a strike as successful as the recent strike that President Trump had was, the Iranians are going to have to think quite hard about how they want to go about pursuing uranium enrichment, if that's something they still want to be able to do, given the fact that known centrifuge production centers, known uranium enrichment facilities, known uranium conversion facilities, things tied to the full supply chain of the regime's uranium enrichment program have been decimated.
I got to end it there, but Behnam Ben Taleblu, thank you as always for your time and expertise.
Thank you. A pleasure.
You got